What's happening, guys? It's your girl Mina. Welcome back to my channel, man. You guys already know what it is. Big up to everybody locked in. Happy Monday, Tuesday. I don't even know what the hell the day is today. I think it's a Tuesday. Let me double check. It's Tuesday. So happy Tuesday, guys. I hope you all had a wonderful week, a wonderful day. Whatever you guys have gotten up to, you guys know what it is, of course. Just one normal day for Manchester United. Just one normal day is all I really ask. But it doesn't seem like we're gonna get that. And I've got a bit to say, and I'd of course like to hear what you guys have to say. Obviously, it's not been a quiet time for Manchester United, especially with all the losses, the dressing room leaks, and now they've went and banned certain media outlets from press conferences. It's an interesting one, and we're going to kind of get into all of that. So big up to everyone in the chat. You lot know what it is, man. When you come in, hit the like button. You know the rules. And we're going to have a good vibe. Of course, later on in about 2 hours, I'm going to do a nice EAFC. I was about to call it FIFA. An EAFC stream. Career mode, we're back again. And of course, I'll be streaming that on Twitch as well. So if you want to watch it on Twitch, you can, or you could just watch it on YouTube as well. Of course, match day content coming tomorrow. We got pre-game stuff, we got post-game stuff, and then Thursday we're gonna do a call-in show. So that's the schedule for the next couple of days. If you want to see my gaming streams, which I'm not going to stream all the time here, i.e. things like Call of Duty, all of that, be sure to follow me on Twitch. Link is in the bio below, or you could just go to Twitch and type in MinaFootball. Big up to Kadeem, says, hope you're doing well, Mina. I'm good. I'm all right, man. I'm good. I hope you are doing well as well. Big up to Tabislaw, Koala. Big up to Sidaf as well. You know, we got a bit to talk about, guys. We got a bit to talk about, because you know me, I like a bit of gossip. Especially when it comes to Manchester United. I like a bit of gossip. And obviously today has been a chaotic day of news. It's been, I think, a chaotic day in terms of information coming out regarding Manchester United. The day started, I think it was Samuel Luckhurst that kind of started the day with information regarding dressing room leaks. Actually, it started last night. It started last night with Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail with information from players regarding dressing room leaks, saying that a number of Man United players are said to be questioning Erik ten Hag's approach and tactics, and some believe they have been made to train too hard this season, while others feel the manager is too I don't even know how to pronounce that word. Authoritarian. It's authoritarian. For a second, I was bugging. I feel like we might know who those leaks are. I feel like it's kind of a given in terms of what the situation. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's this person and this person. But guys, do the maths. I think it's kind of obvious who it could possibly be. Then today, Samuel Luckhurst this morning came out with more information regarding these dressing room antics and said that Erik ten Hag is losing the confidence of players and some staff members as the club season continues to spiral. This ain't the first time we've heard that a manager at Manchester United is losing the dressing room. Let's be honest. Anytime that the players start performing the way that they are currently on the pitch, it's only a matter of time that we hear that the manager is losing the dressing room. It's literally inevitable. We've seen it with David Moyes. We've seen it with Van Gaal. We've seen it with Jose Mourinho. Seen it with Oli. Now Erik ten Hag, unfortunately, is just the latest victim of it. However, what I will say is Erik ten Hag does not help himself. I feel like he has shot himself in the foot multiple times. Number one, with his recruitment strategy and the players that he's kind of brought in. Number two, I wouldn't say it's with favoritism, but with the players that he continuously he carries on playing, he doesn't help himself. Number three, the biggest thing for me, I think, is that if you are a manager and you have a style and a philosophy, don't abandon it. Do not abandon it. When shit gets tough, excuse my language, but when the going gets tough, do not abandon it. It's as simple as that. You stick it through, you see it through until people start to realize that maybe it's the players that you have that are the problem. But Erik ten Hag, for me, abandons things just way too easily, way too comfortably. You know, we went from trying to be a possession-based team last season to this season spending 90% of the game chasing the ball because we ain't got possession. And when we do have possession, we can't even look after the ball. We can't even keep it. For me, the manager has abandoned his philosophy way too easily. He's abandoned his style of play way too easily. And don't say that, United didn't have a style of play, because we saw glimpses of it last season. I don't think we saw it to its peak, but we definitely saw it last season. Now, this season, I can't say one game that I've seen a replication of last year. I can't say one game, give one example of a game where we've seen replication of tactics, style, philosophy, etc. in a game this season. And that's why I feel like the manager has really set himself up at this point, because a lot of players, it would be difficult for players to kind of buy into it when they don't really see a philosophy, they don't see a style, they don't know what they're buying into. Obviously, we're kind of only privy to know what we know. We don't really know 100% the ins and outs. But Erik ten Hag, for me, I'm not surprised. Like, I know a lot of people are now Erik ten Hag out. A lot of people want the manager gone. And I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. I feel like the people that are continuing to support the manager, myself included, are people kind of clinging on to the idea of, you know, those things that we saw last season. Now, don't get me wrong. I've said it many, many times again. I don't like the manager's recruitment. I don't like the players that he's brought in. I feel like some of them are inadequate. You know, I didn't understand why United were going for Mason Mount. I did not know why the hell United paid that much for Anthony. Even Rasmus Højlund, for me, I was very much more on the idea of paying big bucks more, you know, Victor Osimhen, Kane, if it meant that United don't get a goalkeeper and they keep David De Gea for another season or two. I was very much on board on that kind of stuff. But I feel like with the recruitment, Erik ten Hag hasn't really helped himself. I thought Mina was going to say Erik ten Hag has really and truly shot himself in the foot. I'm sure I said that at some point. Big up to MUJ says, who's watching the Lionesses game? It's their last qualifier for the Olympics. It don't make sense. Sorry, just off topic for a second, but women's football doesn't make sense to me in this instance, where Great Britain is what is represented at the Olympics, right? But England is responsible for qualifying for Great Britain. But Great Britain is made up of Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and England. But England is responsible for making Great Britain qualify. And England's last game to qualify, meaning I think they have to have a certain number of goals, because it's on goal difference right now, is against Scotland. And Scotland is part of Great Britain. So are Scotland going to allow, you know, England to score 10 goals so that Great Britain can qualify? But then, isn't that, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But big up to the Lionesses. I hope they qualify. You guys know what it is, man. Be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe. You can join the members club. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get custom member-only content for the call-in show, because someone asked about it in the chat. For the call-in show, members will get priority access to join the show. It'll be via StreamYard, so I'll drop a link in the chat. Members get priority access, and then I'll get through everybody else accordingly. But members always get priority for that. So you can join the members club. It's the pinned comment on the chat. And of course, it supports the continuation of the channel and the content that I'm going to try to bring you guys. You guys know what it is. Big up to Ed says, big up Queen Mina, big up Ed. Erik ten Hag should remain. Koala says, don't get me wrong, I was using those glimpses last season to defend Erik ten Hag from Troy Superstar. I would love to speak to Troy Superstar, honestly. Like, I would just like a 5-minute conversation with him, or maybe a 10-minute conversation with him. Yeah, Troy Superstar makes me laugh so much. Like, he said a super chat to United View the other day. It was during the match view, and he said, basically, some of you guys should leave with Erik ten Hag. It just made me laugh so much. I was like, this guy is actually so funny. I don't know why he's so funny. Maybe I just find him amusing for no reason. But I think Troy Superstar is absolutely hilarious. But back to discussion about chaos in Carrington. I think that's a nice term. I was watching Erik ten Hag's presser earlier today. It was a very short one. I swear it was about 5 questions at the most. I think it was about 5 questions. Didn't sound like there was a lot of people there. Obviously, you know what, guys? What do you guys think about banning certain publications from the press conference today? Because I kind of get why they did it, but then I also think that it's also it's like you're threatened by them. Like, I get it. First and foremost, from a journalistic perspective. Yeah, when I was freelancing for The Athletic, for example, or when I write articles for publications, if I'm writing about somebody or a club or something, I always have to make sure I contact them first for comments or, you know, be like, for example, I was writing an article about East African football federations, and I had to contact every single East African football federation. Whether they reply to me or not is beside the point, but I had to contact them to say, you know, this is what I'm writing about, do you have any comments? And I just feel like from, you know, a journalistic perspective, that is just basic. That is very basic. Not even just sports, in general. When you're writing articles, I have friends who are journalists in like the news sector, etc., and I'm pretty sure they would say the same thing. So I kind of get why they did that. I kind of get it, because, you know, these lot have been running stories. I saw a ridiculous article about an hour ago from Manchester Evening News that was basically talking about being silenced and all of that stuff. But for me, it's like, if you're writing stuff about the club, especially things that not a lot of people are privy to know the truth, you should reach out for a comment. So especially, you know, and I think Manchester United actually emphasized this, where they said, you know, we have good relations with these reporters. I don't think they're trying to silence them. I don't think they're purposely trying to do it, but I think they're just trying to set a standard at saying, you know, you can't run with stories without kind of getting our comment, because it does look like it's kind of I wouldn't say it's one-sided, but it's really like they're taking information from their leakers, which, but not gonna lie, I don't even think some of these leakers exist. I think they're just running with these stories. I just think that potentially one or two of these journalists are just making stuff up as they go along in the hopes that it sticks. Because, you know, the fan base, they will eat up. They will eat it up. Of course, look, I'm sitting here making a video exactly about that. Today, how many people have probably made videos on all like TikTok, YouTube, etc., talking about that? People are going to eat it up. But to come out and say things like, oh, you know, there's players out there that are questioning the manager's recruitment, such as Højlund. How is poor Rasmus Højlund catching a stray bullet for absolutely no reason? Like, yeah, the guy ain't done nothing. Okay, he ain't scored in the Premier League yet. But come on, guys. Come on. Like, Rasmus Højlund, he's settling in. And they're basically saying, yeah, there's people out there that are not happy with him. Then they're talking about previous signings, you know, Weghorst, etc. They're catching straight bullets as well. Like, this was the comment from Samuel Luckhurst. But by the way, guys, one thing I don't do is I don't click his articles. I don't click his articles. I only go off of what these aggregators post. So obviously, if you're on Twitter, you know there's a lot of Man United accounts that post news. And I'm actually reading it off United View, because that's where I get most of my news from. But yeah, so some Manchester United players are startled by the calibre of Ten Hag signings. One is believed to be particularly perplexed by the addition of Rasmus Højlund. Anthony, Wout Weghorst and Mason Mount are among the other signings who have been questioned by players. Don't get me wrong, I'm questioning them too. But who are these players that are questioning it? That's what I want to know. Are these players that feel threatened by the positions? Are these players that feel threatened by these players coming in? For example, you know, when Wout Weghorst did come in, Anthony Martial wasn't really playing much. Like, Anthony Martial wasn't playing much. I genuinely think when the likes of, you know, Daily Mail and all these people, there's a reason why the Athletic didn't get banned. Because the Athletic would never actually run with these stories. How do you like gossip? But don't click Samuel Luckhurst articles? I'll tell you why. I don't click Samuel Luckhurst articles. Because during the time of the Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the bids, during the process of the bids from Qatar and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he posted a very demeaning article. He wrote a very demeaning article, which I know a lot of people were offended about when it came to criticising Qatar. And there was one thing that he said, which basically said about something about these Arabs that wear tea towels on their head. And I didn't like that. I didn't appreciate it. I thought that was xenophobic, that was racist. So ever since then, I've stopped reading his articles and I only go off aggregators. It is what it is. I ain't giving him the click because I honestly didn't appreciate when he said that. Absolute disgrace. For example, we banned the Sun. We don't talk to them at all. I think Liverpool banned the Sun as well, if I'm not wrong, for quite some time ago when they did something about, they did publications about the Hillsborough disaster. I can't remember exactly, I might be wrong, but I know that there's an outlet that is banned by Liverpool FC. I remember Sir Alex Ferguson used to do this. He used to ban publications all the time. I think we should do it. No freedom of speech. What did they used to say? Chat shit, get banged. whatever that means. Just don't give them access, especially if they're not going to come to you to clarify a story. Big up to Anthony, says, despite those mad comments from Troy, deep down you can tell he loves the club. He loves it. I've been done with Luckhurst since Ollie days. Yeah, Luckhurst is a bit of a madman. The ladies in the coffee van at Carrington selling stories. Would you take Xavi Alonso? I'm pro Ten Hag, guys. I'm Ten Hag in. Can I just say? Let's just make that clear. If I haven't thought that far ahead to what manager would I take, because what's the difference between? Sorry, guys, excuse my ignorance, but what has Xabi Alonso won as a manager right now at Bayer Leverkusen? Am I right in saying that this is his first major managerial job in like a top 5 league? I might be wrong, but I'm sure that that might be the case. And if that is the case, then isn't that exactly what Ten Hag gets criticised for? Being like, people say he ain't won nothing. Oh, he's just won things in the Dutch league. Why would we go from that to literally going backwards? So Alex Ferguson wouldn't do an interview with the BBC. Sun blamed fans for Hillsborough. There you go. That's what it was. And I know that the Sun are not allowed access to Liverpool. And good. Punish clubs that do that kind of stuff, especially something like the Hillsborough disaster. That's not even like Manchester United right now is just dressing room leaks. It's just people selling stories to the thing. But the Sun blamed fans for an entire inadequate behavior from the government and from police and whatnot. So yeah, good. I'm all for that. There's a video how Fergie just told the journalists that their job is to write the truth, don't twist his words while writing an article. It's very easy and this is what I don't understand. I know this is a bit off topic, but you know, when I've written articles about like football related stuff, you have to write it verbatim, like word for word. I can't paraphrase. I can't interpretate it how I want to. I have to write literally word for word what has been said to allow the reader to interpret it how they want to. So the fact that these outlets think that they can take information and paraphrase it and, you know, word it in a way that will get clicks and get people to read it, for me, that's disgraceful. Ban them. I don't care. I know people are going to say Ten Hag's a dictator, or, you know, he's scared or he's threatened. But for me, it's like, excuse me, if they're not doing their job properly, and these are seasoned journalists. These aren't journalists that are kind of new to it. These are seasoned journalists. Absolutely cut coverage from them. But obviously, back to the gossip, because you know me, I like a bit of gossip. You know, I love a bit of gossip, guys. Samuel Luckhurst again. Saying that there's concerns among the Manchester United hierarchy that some players are demotivated. Anthony Martial has been identified as one of the players who is not invested enough in helping United to succeed, while there are growing issues over Marcus Rashford. And this is what, guys, I honestly do not. I feel absolutely bad for Anthony Martial. Like, I had said that he needs to leave Manchester United. I've said that like last year, but the treatment that he's getting, every article, every news outlet I turn on that's talking about Manchester United, they are talking about Anthony Martial, as if you would think he's the only player that's failing at Manchester United right now. And that's a prime example of what Samuel Luckhurst wrote in his article regarding Anthony Martial, because he essentially said that, you know, he's identified as one of the players who's not invested enough in helping United to succeed. The guy scored in 2 games out of the last 3 games. He literally has scored. He's getting involved. He, for me, played better in the Galatasaray game than Rasmus Højlund did. Like, I get it. You know, his injury record kind of speaks for itself. And I understand that, you know, he's a player that should have been moved on a long time ago, I think, in my opinion. Once he came back from his loan at Sevilla, I think he should have been moved on. But the treatment that he's getting, like, you would think he's honestly the worst. He's the rotten egg in the entire team, and everybody else is perfect. I actually feel sorry for him, and I actually hope that he's kind of not reading this and seeing this kind of stuff, because I can imagine, you know, would I go as far to say is like some of these players are getting English privilege. I've seen Rashford being criticised, but you know, the only people I've seen really going in on Rashford is Roy Keane. Gary Neville criticised him. But the news outlets, and I'm speaking specifically about like written publications, they are like hinting at Rashford here and there. But literally the cover of their articles is Anthony Martial. Anthony Martial is in the cover of every sort of article. He's the topic of discussion. I've seen Samuel Luckhurst post an article where he's talking about, being silenced in the press conferences or whatever. And there's something in there about Anthony Martial. I don't even know how he can be involved in that topic. Like, they still found a way to include him into it. They still found a way to do that. For me, it's like, yes, you can criticize, but be consistent with it. Like, be consistent with it. Anthony Martial, for me, is unfairly being picked on. I actually think he's unfairly being picked on. I think maybe because of, the fact that United should have moved him on a while ago. Maybe that's why. But for me, it's like, have the same energy for all the players that are failing right now at United. Have the same energy for everybody. Because I don't think, but I'll be honest, Harry Maguire probably is the only person that has a leg to stand on right now. Like I would go as far to say Harry Maguire is the only one that has a leg to stand on in terms of performances. Bruno is subject to criticism, I think. I think Luke Shaw is subject to criticism, especially his injury record. And I would say, Lindelof is subject to criticism. I would say McTominay subject to criticism. Amrabat subject to criticism. Rashford. I would say Rasmus Højlund too, but for me, Rasmus Højlund needs time to settle in. It's a red flag when we're in December and you still ain't scored in the Premier League. I will go as far to say that. I would go as far to say that clearly creating chances ain't the issue, because you've been creating chances in the Champions League. But I feel bad for Martial, man. I actually feel bad for him. Whether it's Ten Hag or a new manager, they must tell Ineos that they have to clear out a whole squad within 3 to 4 windows, not just 2, 3, 4 players. I'm talking like 21st team as non-negotiable. They need. I think for me is like how many players would stay. Forget the clear out. It's like how many players would actually stay at United. I would say 1, Kobe, 2, Garnacho, 3, Lisandro, 4, I would say Onana. I know a lot of people don't agree, but I would say Onana. Who else? The thing is, if I say the players that I think you lot are gonna quit the stream, you lot are gonna leave. I was gonna say Mason Mount, because I just don't feel like we've seen much of him in a United shirt. I don't feel like we've seen much of him to kind of. I know a lot of people base their criticisms of him based off his time at Chelsea, but for me, non-negotiable: Kobe, Garnacho, Lisandro. Them. The only thing that bothers me about Mason Mount is he's on 250. I don't think that's valid. He went from being 80 at Chelsea to 250 at United. That is a crazy jump. That's more than that's more than triple. I think it's like maybe more than quadruple actually. I'm glad Kobe started your list, Mina. Big up to DJ. If it's up to me, it's just Maino, Garnacho, Højlund, and Licha. I could get behind that list. I would say Onana, but I'm seeing reports that United are linked to maybe Mike Maignan, and I'm like, that's a guy who makes mistakes in the Serie A. That like he makes mistakes too. How are we trying to go from one goalkeeper that makes mistakes to another goalkeeper that makes mistakes? The only difference is like Milan is not on the front line, i.e. they're not. Everybody is not watching them 24/7. We're trying to write a piece about them, trying to do videos about them, etc. I can't even say this name. I'm one with the force is with me. Big up, that is a serious name. How come Rashford hasn't jumped all over these leaks like he did when the United Stand channel posted something about him? Is it him at the bottom of these leaks? I genuinely do not know who it is. Like, I couldn't tell you who I think it is. In these leaks, I don't want to speculate. I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, it's this person, that person. So I genuinely, I couldn't say. But for me, it's like, you wouldn't come out and stamp out the leaks if it's not you being accused. I feel like if Rashford was to be accused now by a publication, or it was going viral by a fan channel saying Rashford is the leak, I think maybe then he might come out. But then again, his brother's his manager, so I don't know what's going on with his brother and his situation. So again, it's just all speculation. Mina, I know who it is because I got kicked out of their Discord server. In every press conference, Ten Hag goes, "We have improved," and this makes me laugh. Today I was watching the press conference today, guys, and I just chuckled. I just literally chuckled to myself because I was like, he makes I know, guys, I say that I'm Ten Hag in, yeah, and I support the manager, but sometimes he makes it so difficult to support him with the things that he says. He was asked about Rashford not tracking back. I don't know who the journalist was, but they basically said, like, you know, is this acceptable kind of thing? And then the manager was, and by the way, the journalist singled out Rashford. He literally said, you know, Rashford was not tracking back in the game, and, you know, is that acceptable? Is that part of the tactic? Blah blah blah. And then and then Ten Hag went on to say, oh, you know, when you're playing 3 games in 6 days, you know, fatigue comes into it. So, you know, players are tired, and that's why substitutions are coming in. And he just went on a tangent that just, it didn't answer the question. The question was, is it acceptable for Rashford to do this? And you're talking to me about fatigue and playing 3 games in 6 days. Bear in mind, Rashford did not play 3 games in 6 days because he was suspended for the Galatasaray game. So for me, it's like, today I watched the press conference. I don't always watch it. Normally I just catch up with, you know, what's been said. But today I actually watched it. And I just thought, bro, like, this guy, he's being very calculated with his answers. He's being very, very calculated with his answers. And you know what's funny, guys? If you watch my video right now, like, if you were watching this stream, you would think I'm Ten Hag out the way that I'm criticizing him. But I think it's a valid thing to, you know, criticize someone but still believe in their vision, kind of thing. Which for me is, I agree, it's a process. Building a team is a process. It's not just gonna happen overnight. You know, he even said it last year, if you lot remember. He came in, you know, and there was no standards in the club. He had to implement standards from scratch. You know, let's not talk about that Matic article, because I think that Matic article was an old one. I think it's when he actually left United it came out. But again, you know, that's further example as the fact that standards were non-existent before the manager came in. So he's really been building the foundation from scratch upwards. And what happens? You have a number of these players who you have a number of these players that were part of the times that United had no standards. And the second that standards are implemented, it's against what they want. And the thing is, some of the things I actually don't understand with the players is that they complained about Ollie's training sessions being too light-hearted, and it's like PE settings. But then they're complaining about this manager, and his training sessions being too intense. So what are they looking for exactly? What is it that they're looking for? That's what I want to know. Guys, she's Eric Ten Hag out. She's just saying she's not to be polite. I'm not Ten Hag out, but trust me, guys, if I am Ten Hag out, you guys will be the first people to know. Both Ten and the players are not in a good situation, but I better back Ten Hag. That's how I feel. I think both of them are in a sticky situation. I think the players are kind of leaning more towards, you know, against the manager. I think the manager's trying to buckle up and be the boss. But for me, it's like the main reason I think I'm Ten Hag in is probably because of player power. I don't want player power to win again. I feel like it's won way too many times, and it's, for me, it's like, when does it stop? When does it end? When do we see an end to the whole idea of player power being a thing? When is that gonna be a thing? Are we just gonna allow players to kind of get one up on, you know, the manager and the fan base every single time? Because, like, one thing I don't like is when people say they don't play for the manager. But for me, it's like, you shouldn't play for the manager. You should actually first and foremost play for the badge. That's the first thing. Managers come and go. The badge stays forever. Get the badge in, kind of thing. But the badge stays forever. So if you play for the badge, you will play for the manager. Because why? The manager is a direct representation of the badge at that time. The manager represents the badge at that time. So if you want to play for the badge, you will want to play for the manager as well. Whether you don't like the manager or not is a different thing. But you would want to win games because you're playing for the badge, and as a result, you're playing for the manager. Playing for the badge also means you're playing for the fans. For me, it's like, if the manager's lost the dressing room and players don't want to play for him anymore, clearly players don't love the fans that much to go out there and put a performance in on behalf of like, for the fans. Because otherwise, they're just, you know, they're letting this whole player power, player versus manager thing. I'm sick of it, guys. I don't know how you lot feel, but I'm frankly sick of it. Like, we've seen it happen way too many times. We know how the story ends. I've read this book before. I've read this chapter before. Ed says, I'm not Ten Hag in or Ten Hag out. Reality is these players have gotten rid of every type of boss they can at this club. Gotten too much power. I would rather the squad all get sacked first before another boss. The only thing is, I kind of understand, is that I think I said it at the beginning of the stream, the manager's recruitment has effed him up. That's what's, if he was not involved in the recruitment, and this was solely like club recruitments, people would just criticize the club and the recruitment strategy. But some of these players, most of these players, the manager has gone out and brought them, and then on top of that, put them on the bench and play these other players instead. You know, you and also the manager for me is like stubborn. If you guys are British or European, if you're European, you know that there's a different kind of characteristic or personality with different European countries, if that makes sense. This is not me like being xenophobic or anything, by the way, guys. It's just, I feel like certain countries in Europe, they're a lot more blunt. You know, British people, they like to beat around the bush a little bit. They won't say something directly to your face, but they'll hint at it without saying it. Whereas I think like Dutch, from my experience, you know, working in Europe, Dutch, Belgium, Flemish countries, they're direct. Like, they don't beat around the bush. And I feel like there's a personality misunderstanding between the manager and I guess what he's trying to implement here. So for example, Louis van Gaal, if you guys remember, his personality reminded me a bit about quite similar to Ten Hag in the way that, you know, when he says things, he's saying it how it would be perceived where he's from, the Netherlands. But when you're interpreting it in the UK, it can come across blunt, or it can come across a bit harsh, or it might come across a bit rude, if you understand what I'm saying. So with Ten Hag, I feel like the one thing that I've realized about, you know, the way he speaks and that is that sometimes I just feel like he's scared to say the truth. Like, he's hesitant to criticize players. He's hesitant to kind of put it out there. Like, for me, Jose Mourinho always had a leg to stand on because he's Jose Mourinho. He's won multiple. He's won everything there is to win in football. So Jose Mourinho could come out and criticize a player, and we would be like, well, okay, it's true because, you know, it's Jose Mourinho. Whereas I feel like Ten Hag probably feels like he ain't got leverage to criticize these players, because the last time he did, or the last time he put something out there about a player, the player clapped back on social media with a statement that has now led to him being exiled from the club. Or the last time, you know, the manager made a decision to bring on a player in the last minute of a game. The player stormed down the tunnel and refused to come on and got disciplined, and then, you know, ended up a whole thing, roller coaster, ended with Piers Morgan. So I feel like now the manager is very hesitant to say stuff. And that's why, for example, the question that he was asked about Rashford today, I think he didn't want to answer it because he doesn't want to sit there and say, oh yeah, well, that wasn't good enough. He needs to do better. This manager last year was happy to say, oh, you know, you know, Rashford needs to do better here, or this person needs to do better here. He was okay to do that, but now suddenly it's like he don't want to do that. Big up to Adam in the chat. Big up to Abdullah, says, is Rashford is not good enough, end of, or do you think he can lead us to a major trophy as our main player? I don't think Rashford's the main player of the team. I don't think he's the main player of the team. I think Rashford is he's a role player. I think, you know, like basketball, you got a big three. I think he's part of the big three, but he ain't the main guy. I don't think Rashford is the main guy. But you see, this season, attacking wise, we've played better, created way more when Rashford wasn't playing. Like Galatasaray, we could have had multiple goals. What else? The other game when we played Palace earlier in the season, albeit that was like a heavy rotation in our team. But, you know, I think Rashford needs to decide whether he's gonna try when he's played in positions that he doesn't like to play. Because I was watching back a clip, the interview he did with Gary Neville. I think it was last year before Ten Hag came in, and he was talking about playing on the left, playing up top, playing on the right. And he said that playing out right is the most difficult one for him, that he struggles with when he plays out of position, because he kind of has to adjust everything. He has to adjust his runs, he has to adjust his motion. Sometimes he ends up going too far out, sometimes he ends up drifting offside. And that was basically, for me, that sounded like a get out of jail free card, where he was basically trying to put out his flaws to the world, so that in the hopes that managers don't play him there. But we've seen him play right wing for England. We've seen him play there last year for Manchester United. Scored quite a few goals from there last year. And the only thing I can think of is, well, the coaching staff would not hang you out to dry. They wouldn't play you out on the right-hand side for no reason without working on these things that you've struggled with. Like, there's no way a coaching staff would do that unless they are that ignorant and they're that selfish. So for me, it's like they are either working with you on it and you're just not doing it, or you're just don't want to do it. You just genuinely don't want to do it. Because guys, there's players out there that don't like to track back. Like, there is players out there definitely that do not like to track back. But I don't think Marcus Rashford has the leg to stand on to say that, oh, you're so right, you don't have to track back. It's okay, you don't have to. And this is why Anthony was preferred in the last game, because we saw what Anthony was doing in the Galatasaray game. Again, a game that Rashford wasn't playing. And Anthony is, as much as he lacks, his final product, Anthony contributes defensively. And that's why I used to say last season, this is why the manager's always going to play him, because he's an additional defender in transition. When Man United are defending, he supports his fullback. We saw how much Wan-Bissaka was struggling against Newcastle because he had no one to kind of support him. Let me go through some of these comments quickly. Big up to Dan says, if 10 gets sacked, we let these lazy players win and praise their ego. That's absolutely true. If they win again. Eyes got open today. Even though he ain't only one, Rash has clashed with Drop Tools for every boss, allegedly falling out with 4 out of 5, and Drop Tools for Ollie. I wonder if he's falling out with, again, this is just me gossiping, guys, because you know me, I like gossip. I wonder if he's falling out with Ten Hag because of his treatment for Sancho, because Sancho and Rashford are best friends in the team. They've been best friends since, playing in the England team together, etc. And I think there's a bit of age difference between them, but in the summer, if you lot remember, Sancho, Rashford, Malacia were travelling around together during their time off. Do you think that this could be a reason as to why Rashford is falling out? And to me, it's stupid, because professionally is wrong, but as a friend, when you go to school and a teacher's rude to your friend, so you're like to your friend, yeah, don't worry, I have your back, so you start being rude to the teacher as well. I get that from a school perspective, but this ain't school. This is professional environment. This is a professional environment. And I feel like, the manager has started to lose the dressing room. Genuinely, I feel like once we did not start to get results, this Sancho thing was going to be the beginning of the end for Erik Ten Hag. And I think I said it a long time ago on United View when the whole thing started. I said, if this gets kind of nipped in the bud and the manager's, able to back it all up with results and the team's playing good, no one's going to pay attention to it. Similar like Ronaldo, people got over it. The Ronaldo fans they still talk about it, but people got over it because United were getting results, United were winning. But the fact that the manager kind of exiled him from the team, not only that, from the canteen, from Carrington, all of that kind of stuff. I feel like because on top of that, United are not getting results. And, at some points in the season so far, guys, our squad team has been quite thin. They've had to take with them 3 or 4 academy players to sit on the bench. Players are probably looking like, come on, man, just squash your beef with Sancho. Just squash it. I mean, it's just an apology. But obviously, if 2 people are kind of adamant that they're kind of right, ain't nobody going to ever win. No one's going to win. I don't think some of the players are injured. He just says that to keep them out of the team, to take the pressure off them. That's an interesting one. Do you think that he... Because I think with... I think he said that with the City game. I can't remember if he said that was the reason Varane was out. I can't remember exactly. But I do remember him saying Varane had a knock or something, but it was actually a tactical decision. But again, I think he says tactical decision just in the way of not having to answer any questions. I feel like when it comes to, Varane not playing, Johnny Evans playing over him, etc., I think he says it's a tactical decision just so that he doesn't have to answer any questions. Ten Hag knows Rashford is too powerful to make an enemy of. I think, and this is my conspiracy theory. I wouldn't call it a conspiracy theory, but this is my theory that Rashford is born and bred Manc. Not only is he born and bred Manc, he is the Manchester United story, coming at a young age through the academy. On top of that, he's come from a difficult upbringing to make something of himself. So he's a good example for what I would say is probably like a lot of the wider British society, people that come from, single parent households, parents that have to work 3-4 jobs, to make ends meet, especially in this cost of living crisis that we're living in the UK. I feel like on top of that, his whole taking on the government during lockdown and what he's done for young kids, I saw people criticizing him the other day. I think it was before, it was after the Galatasaray game. Was it or was it on Sunday? I can't remember if it was Sunday, but he went to it was like a food bank where they were handing out stuff for homeless people. And people were criticizing him for that. And for me, it's like, you can have your opinions about him on the football pitch, but as a person, I think it's quite harsh to say, oh, focus on football, because, you know, he's a person at the end of the day. If he wants to do his charity work, let him do it. He's better in his society off the pitch. And I see no wrong with that. But I think all the things that kind of make Marcus Rashford kind of makes him a poster child for Manchester United, which is why I feel like he is quite a powerful person, because, you know, you look at, you know, every kid that grows up in Manchester, for example, or any kid that supports Manchester United, that has dreams of playing for Manchester United, who are they going to look at? They're not going to look at Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney wasn't a Manchester United Academy product, although Wayne Rooney is one of the greatest English players and he played for Manchester United, but it's more so Marcus Rashford. And I'm not comparing them. I'm saying in terms of what Rashford has come from, because he's come from the academy through all the way kind of to the top, wearing the number 10 shirt. Not everybody gets that. So you lot can have your opinions about what Rashford deserves and all of that stuff. But in terms of his marketability, I feel like maybe that's why he kind of gets, he kind of has a bit over, you know, all the managers that come in. And that's wrong. And I don't, that's not me saying it's right, but I'm just explaining to you guys my theory as to why I think Rashford kind of, why the likes of Martial can get ripped by the media, which is not right. It's not right, but Marcus Rashford won't. The closest time I've seen Marcus Rashford getting ripped by the media, guys, is when he was beefing the Tory government in the UK in 2020. If you guys remember, if you're not from the UK, he basically took on the government, who decided to scrap free school meals for kids that are from low income families during the pandemic. Just because they weren't at school. And basically he fought the government. In the end, they succumbed to his wishes. And you know, there was a running joke. People used to say that only, you know, the leader of the opposition is Marcus Rashford. People used to say, you know, the only number 10 that we acknowledge is Marcus Rashford. So he's done a lot from that. But I think that's why he doesn't get criticised by the media. Like, he didn't even get, Bukayo Saka got ripped apart more when they missed the Euros penalties than Marcus Rashford did. Marcus Rashford got criticised, and I saw a lot of racism. Don't agree with it. It's completely wrong, disgusting. But Bukayo Saka had it probably the worst out of the three of them. And sometimes I'm quite curious as to why that is. Garnacho, Højlund, Antony are actually the new Man United front three. It'll take time, but it is what it is. I think that would actually work, because I feel like Antony would create for Højlund. I think Antony links up well with Bruno, tracks back, supports defensively. Garnacho, for me, also tracks back and supports defensively. Although sometimes I think he's a bit erratic when he does it. But he does it. He makes the effort. I'm for Erik ten Hag to stay until the summer, and we can get the deadwood out and get a new manager if we don't see a huge improvement in the style of play. I think the biggest red flag for me with Ten Hag, by the way, guys, if you've just come in, be sure to hit the like button. You lot know what it is. Algorithm settings and kind of all of that stuff. Be sure to hit the like buttons. And if you want to become a member, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges. You get your emojis. Of course, you get a lot of members-only content. You get priority access for the call-in shows that we're starting to do on the channel. So you'd get priority access. And of course, you can help me fix my car, guys, because I need to fix my car. There's some serious problems with my car. And if I can't drive, then I can't create content. It's as simple as that. But big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. I think the biggest red flag for me with Ten Hag was, and it's only in hindsight that I'm looking back, maybe because I never really cared about preseason and I always used to say I didn't care, but the fact that I feel like United played better when the senior players weren't playing, it seemed like, I know that we haven't seen Ten Hag's signings and his ideal team play together. You know, we ain't seen a backline of the backline that he wants, you know, Lisandro, Onana, you know, we ain't seen a midfield of whether it's Casemiro or Kobe, Mount, whoever. Like, we ain't seen a starting 11 of predominantly Ten Hag, like, all over. So for me, it's like he's making do with what he got. But it's interesting, a lot of people are saying, like, just let him have the job until the summer. A lot of people are saying that. The players are throwing the fans under the bus now, along with the manager. I agree. And this is the most annoying. Oh shit! Tabislaw just did a madness. Big up to Tabislaw. Let me come back to that. Let me get to this point. This is what I hate the most, is that when we talk about, you know, them throwing the manager under the bus, bun the manager. Like, managers come and go. Like, managers actually come and go. Yeah? The badge stays forever. So if you're gonna play for the badge. Play for the fans. Like, play for the badge, play for the fans. The manager is going to come and go. Whether you buy into the manager's philosophy and style of football, whatever, is completely different. But if you love the team and you're not just here to collect a paycheck, then put your money where your mouth is and play for the team. Tabislaw just did a madness. Gifted 5 memberships. So whoever got to join the society, welcome to the club. You get your badges. You get your emojis. Let me drop some of the emojis in the chat. Which one's my favourite one? I don't know. This one's my favorite one because this sums me up in a nutshell. That is my favorite emoji. Big up to Tabislaw. Appreciate the support all the time, man. All the time. I really, really appreciate it. You know, we're growing here. Oh, by the way, guys, I hit 2K on here. I forgot to mention that. That's another one. I hit 2K on the channel. I hit it yesterday, I think. But Mondays, I don't really do streams. Monday is normally my quiet day. So I didn't really get to make an announcement, but we hit 2K. So big up to everyone that's just joined the family, just joined the community. Of course, we've got a lot of content coming, and we're going to try to do a weekly stream with Saeed and other people, just to kind of spice things up a little bit here on the channel. So you lot don't have to hear my voice 24/7. You guys know what it is. Yo, big up Tabislaw. Tabislaw is a legend. Tabislaw moving like Ahmed Deshan. Where's my guy, man? I miss Ahmed Deshan. Bring him back. I hope he's all right. Rashford plays well in patches. He's average at best. He can't dribble, doesn't have a trick. He's our version of Theo Walcott. Not Theo Walcott. I remember I said this on United View. I remember when I said this on United View and nobody agreed with me. This was about 2 months ago or maybe a month ago. And I basically said that Rashford last season was playing for a contract. And he had to perform well because he had something to prove. He needed to get into the World Cup team and he needed a new contract. And everybody just went, oh, no, I can't believe you just said that. That's so wrong. And now everyone's saying the same. People are saying the same. Everyone's getting on to Rashford. But I said it. Even though, guys, I think Rashford's a good player. Last year, I do think it was kind of like an anomaly, in terms of how well he performed. I think, you know, when you've got a lot to prove, especially with the fact that he had lost his England spot. The World Cup was coming a lot more earlier. He's not an England starter because that left hand and right hand side is already taken. So he has to fight for a spot on the bench. And even then he's fighting obviously with other people too. For me, last season, there's nothing wrong with saying you're playing for a contract. There's nothing wrong with saying that. But it was the club's stupidity that kind of brought into it. And weren't kind of able to see through it. Rashford's ego is unbelievable. Ten Hag should drop Rashi to save his career. If he still underperforms, then sack him in the summer. Do you guys think? Let's talk about December. Let's talk about the month of December. Mina, pray for Ahmed Deshan. I don't know what's happening with him, but I will pray for him. I hope he's all right. I hope he's good. And I'll keep him in my prayers. Say that you're Eric Ten Hag out. Nah, I told you, lot. If I become Eric Ten Hag out, you guys will hear from it here. This will be the first place that you lot will hear from it, yeah? Do not worry. Do not worry. You guys will see it here live and direct. But there was a question here that I wanted to come back to. I don't know where it's gone. I don't know where the question's gone. But on the topic of December, because I know a lot of people are talking about December. I know. Oh, big up to Alumba in the chat. Got a membership as well. Nice little emoji next to the name. Love it. Big up. I hope you're doing well. On the topic of December, guys, because I think I've had enough about these Carrington leaks. Have I had enough? Is that all the information that I had? Let me just double check if there's anything else that I've missed. I'm always scared that when I'm live that I kind of miss something. But nah, people got banned from the press conference. That was kind of it. It is what it is. It happens. On the topic of December, guys, I've mentioned it so many times. Literally, I think I've been talking about it since like November times in terms of how many games United have in December. Do you think this is make or break for Eric Ten Hag? Forget the players because, excuse me, I feel like the players, regardless, like, they can go out and perform shit. The players can go out and perform crap. I just feel like at the end of the day, the manager's going to be the one that bites the dust. Is that even a saying? Bites the dust. The manager's going to be the one that basically gets kicked up the arse kind of thing. The manager's going to be the one that gets the boot. No matter how bad. And what's going to happen? An interim will come in, you know, and then players will still play until the end of the season. Those players will still play until the end of the season. Is this a make or break? And if so, what games do you see us winning? What games do you see us winning in the Premier League? It's safe to say for me that, you know, the Champions League is over. I think, I said it, I think it's over. I think once you kind of rely on other people to get a result or not get a result, you know, we can't even guarantee first and foremost, yeah? First and foremost, we cannot even guarantee that we do a job against Bayern Munich. So hypothetically speaking, say Galatasaray and Copenhagen draw. There's no guarantee that we can even beat Bayern Munich. There's no guarantee. I think more people are leaning more towards Man United losing to Bayern Munich. And that's what makes it even more funny is imagine Galatasaray and Copenhagen draw. And United can't even get a result at Bayern. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because I don't see Bayern the German league have a big break after the Christmas. So I don't see them putting out a weaker team. I see them still going strong. I think Kane is trying to get the golden boot in the Premier League. You know, Musiala for me, one of the best players in world football. Forget even young players. He's one of the best players in football. Like, honestly, I would take him at United in a heartbeat. So for me, Champions League, I'm not talking about Champions League because that's more than inshallah. That is more than God willing. It requires a lot of prayer. It requires a lot of prayer. And you know, out of all the stuff in the world for me to pray for, I ain't going to pray for that. Because there's bigger, word to Robbie, there's bigger fish to fry in this life. So I ain't going to pray for that. But one thing I will say is that out of all the games, I genuinely think probably Bournemouth is the one that United will win. Like, honestly, I'm not even kidding. You know, we got Chelsea tomorrow. We'll have a pre-match stream until the team gets announced, and we'll talk about the team once the lineups are out. Then we'll have a post-match stream, around 10ish UK time, where we'll talk about the result. Hopefully, it's a positive one, because I ain't done a positive stream in a while, guys. I'm saying a while, but last week was the last one when we beat Everton. Sorry, Kadeem. But when we beat Everton was the last time I did a positive stream. But we got Chelsea, then we got Bournemouth, then we got at least we got a 1 week break between Liverpool and Bournemouth, but that's a lie because we got Champions League midweek. So we got Bournemouth, we got Liverpool, then we got West Ham away. That's 2 back-to-back away games in the Premier League. 2 back-to-back games to decent teams. West Ham is doing decent. They have the winger that we should have had in Mohamed Kudus. I'm not even joking. What game do you lot see us winning, honestly? Forget Liverpool, because I know everybody's worried about Anfield. I know it. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll cross that bridge 17th December, 16th December. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Bournemouth, for me, I think United can get a result. Just depends on how they turn up at home. I think Nottingham Forest, you would expect them. You would expect them to get a result. Tomorrow's game against Chelsea, I genuinely think it's just about who wants it more. Between the two of us, who wants it more? Chelsea, for me, are on a bit of a higher trajectory than United are. But for me, United don't like to lose to Chelsea. Like, I can't lie. One of my favourite times, I don't know if you lot remember, I think it's about 3 years ago. It was about 3 years ago, opening game of the Premier League. I don't know if you lot remember. We beat them like 4-0. And on top of that, it was Eid. So it was a great day because one of my siblings is a Chelsea fan. And my sibling was so angry when we went out for Eid dinner. So that if we can win tomorrow again, so I can have bragging rights to my sibling, please, Ya Allah, please. That's all I ask. That's all I ask for the next couple of games. I think we get a draw at Anfield. Keller is in goal. Alisson might be back. I've seen reports, Liverpool people saying that he's actually expected to come back in 2 weeks, just in time for the Manchester United game. So he could be back. McTominay scores. Salah equalises. Trent with the second. Bruno with the equaliser. The pen for United. Ice Spice takes it. Then Luis Diaz 3-3. What is Koala on? What is Koala on? Because if I have to come back on the 17th of December to this stream to drag this up because he's right, Nah, that is a wild prediction. That is literally like he's seen this story before, like he's read it before. Koala is on something. I don't know what he's on. I don't know what he's on, but he's on something. I don't even see us beating Chelsea. Nobody's feeling positive for tomorrow's game. No one is feeling positive. I think we're losing the next 2 games and winning at Anfield and going on a run. I feel that Anfield game just comes at a perfect time to turn things around. Pure hopium though. A lot of you lot are on hopium and crack. At this point, it has to be crack that you guys are on, because the way that Liverpool are performing right now, don't get me wrong, I don't think Liverpool are at their best, but you guys know what Anfield is like. Anfield is the fortress that United, like we had a fortress last year. This season, we ain't got a fortress at Old Trafford. Anfield, I saw, who was it? I can't remember. I was watching a video on TikTok. It was a manager. I can't remember what manager it was, but they were basically saying how they can go anywhere in the world and play any team, but when they go to Anfield, they struggle because it's just next levels. And you know that United and Liverpool rivalry goes down to a lot. So that says a lot. Big up to Flashy Boy, says just found your channel, enough respect. Salute, appreciate you subscribing. Be sure to hit the like button and stick around. We got some content coming, especially with the Chelsea game tomorrow. Rashford is starting tomorrow, and that's crazy. Would that be crazy though? Let me just be devil's advocate for a second, guys. Let me just be devil's advocate. Do you guys honestly think the manager is going to drop the players that are being hounded in the press? I wouldn't be surprised if Martial and Rashford start. Honestly, guys, I would not be surprised if all these players that are being hounded in the media, I would not be surprised if the manager plays them to prove a point, to prove that he's still backing them, even if he's not backing them or not. You know, we know the manager is a liar sometimes. But am I crazy to think that he would start, like the manager would start him? Surely all this suffering will be rewarded with a Champions League final at Wembley. Listen, I don't care who's in the Champions League final. I will be there. Wembley Stadium. I will be there. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. Dan Gore winner, 96th minute and 43 seconds in Fergie time. Football's a funny game. This is our revenge arc. Believe. We have to believe. We have to believe, guys. Listen, there's no guarantee what the hell the result is going to be. There's no guarantee who the hell is even going to start. There is no guarantees in life. But you know what is guaranteed? Somebody leaking news to the media. You can guarantee tomorrow morning there will be some nonsense. There will be something. Guys, just know tomorrow we're all going to wake up. 9 o'clock. When you lot are watching United View, morning news, it's going to be something to do with leaks. Because either tonight or tomorrow there's going to be more leaks. There's going to be more leaks. The manager's struggling to stamp it out. A lot of managers in the past have struggled to stamp out these leaks. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. What's going to be the latest leak, guys? What's going to be the latest leak? Should we say, someone's going to come out and say that Ten Hag bullies them. Someone's going to come out and say Ten Hag bullies them. I don't know who, but someone's going to, Samuel Luckhurst, Chris Wheeler, one of them guys, Simon Stone, all them guys is going to be like, oh, exclusive. Players accuse Manchester United manager of bullying, or you know, he accuses them. They accuse the manager of being absent from training sessions and training sessions being run by McLaren and Benny McCarthy, something like that. It's gonna be some nonsense. Ten Hag is 2 weeks away from being blamed for COVID. I can hear the pre-match presser. He will say that they have to prove, huh? They're good players, huh? Fight for a club, huh? Apologies to my Dutch people if I've just actually taken the piss out of the way Dutch people speak. I love the way Ten Hag speaks though. I actually like he just the way he speaks, it gives me like you don't give a shit. That's the vibe that I get. No, the pressure is too much. He'll drop them, bring them back versus Bournemouth, depending on how we play. It'll be interesting tomorrow. Obviously, I'm not gonna go too much into it. I'm not gonna go too much into like breaking down, you know, predictions, all of that, because I'm gonna do a stream tomorrow. But I think them, you know, when they're saying, and this is what I don't get about leaks, guys, especially like back to the point of, you know, journalists being banned from Ten Hag's press conference today. They said Samuel Luckhurst said that Ten Hag's lost 50% of the dressing room. That's a statistic. So say there's 22 guys or 26 guys in the dressing room. You're telling me 13 players have come to you and said that they're losing faith in the manager. For you to come out and say 50%, I want to know where you got them values from. And you know what? United have every right to ask that. United have every right to kind of banish them from the press conference, because it's a strong statement to say 50%. And the thing is, I couldn't even try to predict. The only way I would say is like the only people that he hasn't lost is the one that he signed, basically, and the people that he didn't sign is the ones that he's lost. That's my conspiracy theory. Otherwise, you're just lying. You're just making up stuff. You're just making up stats. You're just making up percentages. Mina, you know what? Mina, you know what's interesting about the media? They all claim Ten Hag's coaching is unclear and stuff, but when I watch back every player interview about Ten Hag, they all say he's crystal clear. He doesn't give me the vibe that he beats around the bush. Like, he seems like he's very direct with what he wants from you. And I don't know if these players are just that dumb. Like, I don't want to be rude, but are they just that inadequate at understanding? Do they want it written for them on a sheet with someone standing on the touchline holding it, saying, Marcus Rashford, track back? Is that what they want? Someone to stand there with a whiteboard? Because I'll gladly do that job if that means that they do it. But there's no way that I can, and I've said this time and time before, there's no way that a manager sets a player up by not preparing them. There's no way the manager sends them out with no tactics, no instructions, no orders. Where it's basically like you're just coming to have a kickabout with your friends after school. Or you're just going to five-a-side to play five-a-side with your, with your neighbours. You're just having a quick kickabout. There's no way that the manager inadequately prepares them, including the coaching staff. So it's either that they ignorantly ignore it and they choose not to do it, or they can't do it. And the manager's asking them to do stuff that they can't do because they don't have the traits, they don't have the characteristics, they're not able to do that. He's asking people to, I don't know, maybe like fatigue. Fatigue is a thing, because he touched on it in his press conference today when he was asked about Rashford not tracking back. And he didn't talk about Rashford particularly, but he talked about fatigue and playing 3 games in 6 days. Maybe that's his excuse for other people, because Rashford didn't play 3 games in 6 days. He didn't. Rashford only played 2. He only played Everton and... Did he play Everton? Yeah, he played Everton game. And he played Newcastle. So he had a week off, unlike everyone else who played midweek. So for me, it'll be very interesting to see... for me, it's as obvious as day and night. It's as obvious as day and night. Now, if the manager is ignorant and doesn't give his players instructions, and the only thing I think I could say that I see is that, because he takes long to adapt to games and change his tactics. Last year, 30 minutes into the game against Chelsea, changing tactics, because him and Graham Potter were going tactic for tactic. This year, it's like he's abandoned it completely, and he just waits to see if they can figure out the solution themselves. Is this his way of trying to throw people into the deep end and see if they float by themselves? Because clearly that's not that you can't do that with these players, because they've not got the mindset to do that. So if the manager is kind of, trying to see if they can come up with a solution in game for themselves. So for example, pressing for me is the most interesting thing, is the fact that the way that United press and, they do a man-to-man press, for me is not logistical, because every team has easily sliced through that, easily passed out of it. And, at what point do you look at the game and say, okay, stop pressing like that, because, they're getting out of it easily. But the manager hasn't done that. So maybe he is being ignorant in that case. This is just me speculating, by the way. It just is me just trying to, put 1 and 2 together. But there's a lot of questions. Rashford refused to track back on purpose. He just wants to have a free run. If we win the ball back, I swear, I'm not even joking, guys, yeah? Rashford plays like me when I used to play football. When I used to play up front, I never used to track back. I just used to goal hang. That was my favourite thing to do, goal hang. It'll be interesting, though, to see, what happens tomorrow with the team. If there will be any more stories, any more new leaks tomorrow. Are you lot predicting that there might be some? I anticipate, I told you, I'll talk about the game. We'll talk about the game tomorrow for a stream. I'm just sick of it. This whole, leaks and news and things, just this season I don't think there's just been 2 days maybe of no Manchester United news, excuse me. I don't think there's been 2 days of just silence, radio silence. I have not seen that at all. But big up to everyone, man. You guys know what it is. Be sure to hit the like button. If you guys are new, be sure to subscribe. You can join the members only community. It's called the Minionship. We are called the Minions. We are called the Minions. You know, the play on words, the minions. You get your badges, you get emojis. Obviously, you can support the channel and the growth, the content that I'm bringing, guys. It's A1. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. It's A1 content. It's not always going to be me sitting in front of this. We will be going out. I'll give you guys some hints. We will be going out onto the football pitch. That's all I have to say. You guys get to see the real football tech. You know how they always say how content creators that criticize footballers don't know how to play football? You guys are going to see it live in the flesh that I'm good enough to play for Manchester United. It's as simple as that. And that's only coming for members. Obviously, we'll have other content as well for the channel and a whole load of other stuff. We've got some gaming content coming in about 1 hour's time. 1 hour. Make sure you lot turn on your post notifications because I got some redemption in my career mode. That's all I have to say. EAFC, I got some redemption to do. You can watch it on YouTube or you can follow me on Twitch. Link in the bio below. And I'll be streaming on there. And on top of that, I'll be doing a lot of streaming throughout the week and the weeks to come on Twitch when I'm playing things like Call of Duty, etc. And if you are a member and you are a tier 2 member, you can play with me. I'm always looking for people to squad up with when it comes to Fortnite. I don't know how to play Fortnite, guys. But I really want to learn how to play. So if you play and you want to, let me know. You can join the memberships and then we can play together. Call of Duty, FIFA, all of that kind of stuff. And I'll be back in 1 hour's time where we can just ignore Manchester United and we can focus on the new manager. That is me. That's managing Manchester United. It's as simple as that. Big up to everyone. You guys know what it is. Be sure to hit the like button on your way out. Turn on your post notifications so you get notified every time I go live. I'll be back later on, guys, in about 1 hour. Peace.